One cathedral-sized kitchen. One awesome soup pot. One knife to rule them all. One peeler to get things done. One spoon to charge the way. One bowl to eat your stuff in.
Yeah.
And one handsome devil to get it done for you.
Okay. Today we're gonna be making the Superman soup. That's right. That's right. Superman soup. Okay. And I'm gonna start off. We'll turn the stove up here high. Okay. Knocks it out. Want to use tap water? Whatever. Am I using tap water? No. No. Okay, this is spring water. Okay. And, you know, how much am I putting in? That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm basically starting with about 3 cups. Maybe 4. 4 cups. Well, let's see here. Okay, if this is 4 liters, I just put in that much. You know, yeah, it's probably about 4 cups of water. 4 cups of water. Okay, but you're gonna be adding potentially more. Okay, and if you want to see what it looks like in the pot, yeah, kind of give you a rough idea how much water is in there. Yeah, it's basically up to here. Okay. So the pot's not quite half full of water. It's kind of more like a third. 1/3. Yeah. Okay. So it's on high. Then, you know, whatever salt you got, you know, that's great. My salt's better. That's right. I've got pink Himalayan salt too. Good stuff. Okay. And then this is not like a tiny little, teaspoon. This is like a big spoon. And then you can get an idea, if you like your salt, you might want more than this. But, you don't need to overdo it. Okay? So you put in the salt. Yeah. You stir it in. Yeah. Okay. Now, pretty much done with the salt. But, you may want to add a little bit more salt later on in the cooking if that's where you want to get your flavor from, is the sodium. But that's enough for me. Okay? Because there is going to be salt coming from other parts of the food. But anyways. Okay, it really, is this meat going in there? It could. Okay? But the reason I'm going to eat the meat just the way it is now, instead of putting it in the soup, because then you're going to realize that, if you are a vegetarian, you don't have to put the meat in. And you can still make this soup. Or you put the meat in. But I'm going to eat the meat just the way it is now. Okay? But if you're going to put it in, you could. Right? But I'm going to be doing it just for kind of everybody, in the sense that, if I show you how to do it as a vegetarian without the meat, you understand that you can obviously just put the meat in if you want that. Yeah, then everybody knows how to cook this stuff. Yeah. So I'm just kind of having this as a little snack, because the other thing that's good about that is it takes a while to cook. Yeah. Good. So what we got here, these are garbanzos. A lot of people call them chickpeas as well. Yeah. Because, you want to have peace with the chicks, right? So you go for the chickpeas. Yeah. Pretty bad joke, but you know. Yeah. It looks like I've also got one strainer. That's right. Whoa, where did that come from? Yeah. Okay, so I basically grab a handful of the chickpeas. Now make sure you're peaceful with them so the chicks know you're cool. Hey, more bad jokes, yeah. Okay, so it's kind of like a huge handful of chickpeas, or kind of 2 medium handfuls of chickpeas. Yeah. Give you a kind of rough idea. It's not a whole hell of a lot, but you know, they're there. They're there. Okay. Then, those of you that are planning to work as a Navy SEAL one day in the military, well, Superman recommends having some Navy beans. Yeah. All part of the Superman suit. Okay. Alright, once again, I'm making for this for myself, but I also have a bottomless pit down here. I don't know where it all goes. I don't know where it all goes. Yeah. Goes somewhere. But yeah. Anyways, so some Navy beans. Again, kind of just like one kind of big handful of Navy beans. And then, yeah, pinto beans. Yeah. And one big handful of pinto beans. Yeah. Hey. There you go. Now, beans are, going to take the longest to cook, but I'll just give you a little heads up. If you're putting the meat in there, you're probably going to want to put it in the same time you're putting in the beans. Yeah, right? Because the meat's also probably going to take a long time to cook. Okay, still waiting for my water to boil. Putting these beans to the side. Now rinsing off the beans in the strainer. Yeah. Yeah, in this video, you're going to see how everything is done from start to finish. So, obviously, if you want to skip ahead and figure this out a little faster, you can do that. But I'm literally cooking it and showing how it would be done as is, from scratch to finish. Okay, so yeah, this video is basically going to take an hour, a little bit longer because I had a bit of an intro. Yeah. Okay. But these beans, again, I'm turning it to high. I'm waiting for the water to boil. But then I'm going to be turning it down to like 3.5 on the dial. Okay? Which is a little bit less than, medium. And then the beans will have to cook for about 55 minutes. Yeah. Until they're done. Excuse me. Yeah. But the thing is while these beans are cooking, you've got more work to do. More line cooking. Yeah, so you got more work to do, and that's going to keep you busy while these beans are cooking. Okay, yeah. So the water's just about boiled here. Still waiting for it. And so, yeah. Let's have a little bit more of a snack. And at the end of the video, I'll be running through the nutritional value of the Superman soup. But what's interesting is, super soup, right? How do you say Superman for short? Soup, yeah. So, I mean, would he go for the stew? Would he go for the sandwich? I guess he'd go for the soup because he's Superman. Anyways, why do I call this the Superman stew? Or the soup, my bad. It's because basically everything is inside of it to get you through the day. That you would basically need in a day. It's basically all going to be here in this part of the soup. Yeah. And boys did have a hearty. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so the water's boiling. Turning it down now, about 3.5 on the dial. Putting in the beans, right? Now, when you've done this, you kind of want to know when you put the beans in, okay? So I know this video's been rolling for about, you know, ever so long, but whatever. But I have a timer now, okay? So I know from 35 minutes from when I put these beans in with this heat and having the water boil first with the salt inside, I'm then going to be adding more ingredients. But now I've got 35 minutes to do line cooking. Yeah. Good. So, got some pretty big, honking big garlic here. Whoa. Yeah. And, have you ever, you know, been working in the kitchen and you're, you know, painfully peeling the garlic skin off with your hands and realizing this is such a pain in the bum. Yeah, it is. Okay. So anyways, when I was younger, my mom once got me to cut the garlic, and she said I had to take the skin off first. Okay. And I was just working with my fingernails, taking off the skin. And it's funny because I didn't really know what I was doing. But oddly enough, the best place to get somewhere you've never been is to not know where you're going. Yeah, so I didn't really know where I was going, but I started getting pissed off. It's kind of like a 10-year-old kid that had to do the line cooking for mom's meal. And I was getting pretty fed up with, you know, using my fingernails to take the skin off the garlic. And then I turned into the Hulk. No, I didn't. But, yeah, Hulk, right? And what does Hulk do? Kind of angry, right? Hulk, yeah. Okay, so I took to the garlic. I was really mad at the garlic. And so I put the knife on top of the garlic, kind of flat. Okay, so I'll hold it closer, you get a better idea. Flat, okay. And then I was pissed off. Yeah, I was pissed off because I was angry. Okay. And what I did is I did a Hulk smash. Yeah, Hulk smash. Hulk smash. Okay. And then I realized, well, hold on a second here. After that Hulk smash, look how easy that skin came off. Yeah, pretty easy. So, you know, unlike some people say, you know, let's all learn how to love and forget how to be angry. Well, I don't know. If I never got angry at the garlic, I would have been doing this and trying to get the garlic skin off. When really a little Hulk smash, yeah, gets it done so much better. So maybe anger isn't that bad if you know how to channel it into something good. Okay, yeah, so anyways, the little Hulk smash. Again, now I'm taking off the skin. Like, look how easy that is. So easy, yeah. So, again, it's funny, I never would have figured that out if I didn't get angry at taking off the garlic skin with my fingernails, which sucks, yeah. And after I Hulk smashed the garlic, I realized, well, sure is easy to take the skin off now, and it sure made my job easier. And then I realized, well, maybe getting mad all the time isn't a bad thing. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just cutting off bits and pieces of the garlic on, like, you know, kind of like the butt ends, the parts you don't want. Now, this may seem strange at first. It probably does, okay? But what I'm going to be doing is I make sure that I have my little, you know, plug thing in the sink, okay? So nothing's going down the drain. And when I'm done with food scraps, I just toss them in here, okay? And, you know, probably seems strange at first, okay? But the only thing that's really going in here is, yeah, water. Water, yeah, okay? So, not a big deal. And it's really easy to clean the sink. So I actually put all my food scraps into the sink. And then when I'm done cooking, I just scoop it up and clean it out. And it's actually really easy. It's really easy, yeah. And it actually makes cooking a lot easier when the sink is always right there, yeah. Okay, so now I'm cutting up the garlic. Kind of got Hulk smashed a bit, so it's already a little bit bashed up, but you know what? It was worth it to get that skin off, okay? That's for sure. And I kind of know what technique. I watched some guy. I was at like I think it was like a Japanese restaurant or something that I went to one day, and they cook right in front of you or whatever. And I kind of learned how to do a little bit of his cutting technique. I'm not doing it right now, but I'll show you in just a second here. Because right now I'm kind of just cutting up the garlic into, you know, smaller pieces, but, you know, still kind of pretty big pieces. Yeah. And then when I get it into this pile like this, I kind of saw the guy at the restaurant do something like this, okay? And basically, he's putting one hand up here on top of the knife, and then kind of cinching down. Okay. And by the way, my whole countertop is like a cutting board. So if that's not like your countertop, you should have a cutting board. I don't have to. Cause, yeah. Anyways, then you go like this. Right. Oh, hold on. Okay. So basically, it's all kind of in a clump, and I just kind of am working it almost like it's a machine, but really it's a tool. But I'm using both my hands to do this cutting, because when all the garlic is clumped together, and I kind of do this as opposed to which takes forever. Really, when the idea is that I'm just trying to get it into pretty small pieces, it really makes it a lot easier. Okay. And the other thing you're probably going to notice is I have this index finger placed like this along the handle. It allows me to keep my accuracy and my precision. And you'll notice that my hand is on top of the knife, not below it. So yeah, I'm not going to cut myself. It's not really dangerous at all. Yeah. And yeah, and then you can see the garlic is cut up. Okay, maybe a couple pieces here and there might not be cut up, but you know, not a big deal to attend to those. No bigs, no bigs. Yeah. You know, the other thing nice about this knife actually is it's not very sharp. It's basically a bread knife that I've had for a really long time. And it's pretty dull. It's pretty dull. But you want to know what I like about having a dull knife? Even if I cut myself, oh, this guy's a fucking masochist. Look, he's cutting himself. No, right? You want to know what these marks are from? Pushing down on top of the knife. Because I'll just show you right here. Right? Pretty dull. Pretty dull knife. Yeah. But that's why I like having a dull knife. So I can still cut things up. Using a little bit of elbow grease. Right? And not cut my hands. Yeah. Because every once in a while it slips. And really when it's really as dull as this one is, because I basically had it for 20 years, I realized why I like a dull knife. Yeah, I do. Okay. Okay, so I cut out the garlic. Not too big of a deal, but my hand's a little sticky. Yeah. And because I put the plug in there, right, I can kind of just make sure the water goes through, so it's kind of just like slightly out, right, so the water gets through, excuse me, but the food scraps don't. Yeah. Always like to keep, you know, the hand towel close by. I'm basically washing my hands and drying them all the time. All the time. Yeah. Okay, so there's my garlic. Yeah. Put that to the side. Yeah, I highly recommend having a countertop that is acts as well as a cutting board, because then you've got a whole lot of cutting board space and you're never washing the cutting board, you're just washing the countertop. So yeah, we recommend it. Okay, enough that. Got some ginger here. Is it a red hair girl? No. But it's ginger. Yeah. Okay. I want to get the skin off the ginger. Yeah. If you don't know, ginger is AKA for a girl with red hair, but obviously also it's this. Yeah. It's kind of a joke. Anyways, I'm taking the skin off. Okay, and right in the sink. Yeah. Right in the sink. So it's all in the same place, and the other part that I like is it's pretty easy not to miss getting your food scraps into the sink. Yeah. That would be a double negative. Not missing. Yeah, in other words, they're getting it. Yeah. Great. Oh! But every once in a while, one of them manages to try and escape. But, you know, there is no escape. Okay. Order in the court! Some ginger skins try to evacuate the jail sentence. Order! Okay, is this a hammer? No. Am I telling you another joke? Yeah. And this is how cooking becomes more fun. Okay, I'm almost. Oh no, it fell in the sink. And you know what? Yeah, was my sink clean? Yeah, right. You want to rinse it a bit? Sure, no big deal. But you know what? Considering it's basically going into pretty hot water, if there was, you know, maybe a couple germs in the sink that went on my ginger, I don't think they'll be there after they've been cooking in the soup. So yeah. I'm personally not too worried about it. If you are, well, rinse, remedy, rectify. Yep. Now, some of you might be wondering, why is this guy cooking in his underwear? Well, it's because, you know, sometimes, it's a handsome devil that is just better at selling his recipe. Or maybe that's just another joke, but to be honest, it's just kind of hot in my place. I think things get hotter when you start cooking and using the stove. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And hey, you know what? It's my kitchen, so don't tell me what to do. Okay. Just about done taking the ginger skin off. Yeah. Hey, basically all the ginger skin's off. There's like a tiny, tiny, tiny bit there. Problem solved. Okay. And, you know, garlic I'm pretty sure is good, you know, so you don't get sick. What is ginger good for? Ginger is good for your gut and digestion. And it adds a nice flavor of spice to your cooking, as well as the garlic. Yeah. And the other thing I like about cooking with soup, you know, having water, is all this stuff that is cooking. As it cooks, it's also going into the water, but still being in the soup as a solid. So it's kind of like the water becomes more solidy, I guess, is one way of putting it. But the water kind of just becomes more flavorful as the things that you put inside of it add to the flavor of the water. And obviously I just kind of started with the salt being, you know, not too much, but the more things I put in, the more the broth will take on its flavor. And again, if you're adding meat to the water, then you're going to have part of the meat adding to the flavor as well, making the water more into a broth. But yeah, when this meal is done, you're going to see that water is going to be a lot different. A lot different. And what's nice is it soaks up so much flavor that, you know, can be lost in things like a stir fry, for example, or baking in the oven. Because when you're doing things in a drier process, it's not that that's wrong. Because, you know, for example, oils and butters and things could be soaking it up. But a nice thing about water is that you don't really lose any of that flavor because it's being cooked in the water. So it goes into the water. Yeah. Whereas you're not necessarily eating all the oil that is in the stir fry or all the butter that is in the pan. Or, you know, in the oven when you're baking. Yeah. So, you know, each to their own. But that is the benefit of the soup. Okay, so I'm done with my ginger. Pretty easy. Okay. Excuse me. And next up, oh, by the way, another reason ginger is good for your gut is it's a prebiotic, and a prebiotic helps sustain probiotics that we produce naturally in our body. Yeah. And a good way to also introduce probiotics into your body that is good for your gut, that helps with good mood, energy, is things like sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. Yeah, usually kind of like more like the fermented kind of foods. Yeah. So yeah, if you do have you know, something like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, ginger is a good one for you. I mean, should be. I'm not your doctor, and I'm not really going to quote that for you because I don't know you. But I do know that ginger is, yes, relatively good for the gut. And as it is a prebiotic, helping you to sustain probiotics in your body, yeah, then you get more probiotics for longer in your body, which helps you have a healthy gut, which is usually synonymous with having, you know, a stomach that feels good. Yeah. Because we all know that eating is fun, but when your stomach is not feeling good, usually you're not feeling good, and usually the food also doesn't taste as good because your tummy is in pain. Yeah. So I feel for you guys that have stuff like that, but hey. Maybe you don't have to have stuff like that when you start, you know, branching out and realizing how you can remedy it. Anyways, this is turmeric. Obviously, I just took off the skin. Turmeric is good for, you know, flavor, but it's kind of mild when it comes to flavor. But I actually add it more for the anti-inflammatory value. Yeah. And if you don't know what an anti-inflammatory is, so we all have like joints, right? Here's like my wrist joint, my elbow joints, right? What kind of joins your body together? Anti-inflammatories like turmeric help keep your joints loose. Okay, so if you were like a robot at first, and then you were like, and then maybe you had some turmeric for some reason, then you're like, whoa, I'm all loose now. Yeah, another joke. But yeah, anti-inflammatories help keep your joints loose. That's right. Yeah. And you know, maybe you saw some of my other videos. I like to do a lot of weightlifting and stuff and exercise, and that's why I like the turmeric. I do often get sore, and the turmeric is flavorful, but also helps me reduce any soreness in my joints and eases tension up. Actually, I believe that people from India also talk about turmeric being something that helps you open up your third eye, which would be the sixth chakra out of the seven, where the pineal gland is. And you know, I'm not saying they're wrong, but it's interesting. I don't really know myself because I can't really testify to doing it myself. But you know, maybe you want to check that out for yourself. I'm sure you could research it on the internet. Yeah, if you want to know more about chakras, because you know, it's interesting. It's interesting stuff. I like it. Okay, so I got these three guys, and looks like my beans have been cooking for basically 20 minutes. So I know another 15 minutes, and still got more wine cooking to do. Okay. Here's our friend potato. Check this out. Check this out. Behind the back. Oh, with the same hand. Do it again. Oh, yes. That's right. Now this is a bit of a funky potato. You can see it's got a little bit of a weird little thing going on there. But it's still good. It's still good. Yeah. You know, you could wash the potato. This is a russet potato. But, you know, if you don't want to wash the potato, I don't really blame you. Because you're going to take off all the skin anyways. So, you know. Is it necessary to rinse the potato? Not really. Is it, you know, still relatively not a bad idea? Yeah. Because, you know, maybe you're keeping your peeler a little cleaner. Yeah, so, you know, there is logic in it, in rinsing it first. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Yeah. Keep it fresh, keep it interesting. Okay. And I don't really know if it helps to show how I hold it, but basically, you know, I hold it pretty firm. And the idea is I want to put a lot of pressure on the sides when I'm holding it so it stays firm. Okay. Another way of doing it is kind of more like this. Okay. And then going down. Yeah. But, you know, all our hands are slightly different, so you're going to want to find something that's comfortable. But you're going to notice that this peeler is kind of more designed for the center. Whereas other peelers, you kind of go more on the side like this. I like this one. I like this central one because really it keeps the blade away from me when it's the center that is going on, you know, the vegetable, for example, instead of the other one that, I don't know, yeah, I just don't seem to like as much because I've done both. And again, each to their own. There is no one real peeler to rule them all. It's really just what works best for you. Yeah. So I'm not going to tell you which peeler to use because really, if you're getting the potato skin off with your knife, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Okay, so I peeled off my potato here. And then when I cut a potato, for example, what I like to do, okay, you can see how I kind of gripped it like this. I get a little preliminary, and then, and it's because it's a dull knife, but yeah. And I cut it in half, and then afterwards, I'm just keeping it together. It's inching it down. And I don't know, if you're interested in how I'm holding it, it's kind of like I got my knuckles and my fingernails kind of going in, and then the other part is kind of in my palm. It helps keep it steady. Yeah. But then when there's less to hold, I then go for a different kind of hold. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a different another hold again. I'm doing it again. You know, it's almost like I don't even think about it. I kind of just do it. Yeah. Then you can see once I started cutting it, because I was cutting it like this, then I put it flat down. Okay, right, and then I keep cutting it, and then this becomes flat. I turn it over 90 degrees. I cut it, and then really, I'm done. Yeah. Okay. So that's my potatoes. And this is a pretty big beet. To be honest, pretty big beet. So am I going to use all of it? No, because beets are yummy, but that would be a little overpowering in the soup. Okay, so I'm basically going to use half. Yeah. So peeling off the bottom half of this beet. Now, quickly talking about potatoes. In the end of the video, you'll see more of like the actual numbers for the nutritional value, but before then, I'll talk about the benefits. And potatoes, you know, they're not exactly like a whole bunch of protein like the beans, for example. but proteins are high in potassium. And what is potassium good for? Potassium is the healing agent for the body. And, things like squash, potatoes are very high in potassium. And, when you do get like, a little paper cut or something like that, or maybe something worse, hopefully not something worse, but things like potatoes help you heal faster. Yeah. And if you have no potassium at all, you might be wondering why you're not really healing. So, yeah. And yeah, you can even get it from potato chips, because, potatoes. Yeah, potatoes. Okay, so I got about half the beet here. Now going towards beets. Beets are actually, for a vegetable, they taste pretty sweet. Pretty almost like sugary. Yeah, it's a pretty nice taste. And the other thing that's nice about beets, in terms of like a health benefit beyond the taste, is that beets are a blood builder. Blood builder. And sometimes you can go to a store, and like a nutritional store maybe, and there'll be pills that are called like blood building pills. When you look at the ingredients, yeah, beets. Beets. Okay, so I mean, you could get the pills, or you could just, eat beets. Whatever, it depends what you want to do, because if you don't like the taste of beets, maybe you get the pills. But yeah. And what is that good for? Well, this might sound like a bit of an extreme example, but let's say you had to wait 3 months because you lost some blood. You had an accident. You lost some blood, and then you realized that you had to wait 3 months before you could get some blood donated to you. So there's 3 months where you're short of blood, which is a long time. Okay, I mean, what could you do? You could just eat more beets. Yeah, and instead of waiting that 3 months to get the donations from that blood donor, you could eat more beets and build more of your own blood in the meantime, which means at least you're doing something. Yeah, right. Because I can understand why it would suck to have to wait maybe even 6 months to get a blood donor, especially when your blood is not something that is an easy match. But hey, you can eat beets. Ukrainians, like a lot of Slavic kind of people, like Polish, Russian, Ukrainian, they like to make borscht, and borscht is basically beet soup. And is this borscht? Well, no, because this is Superman soup. But I do put the beets in there, and they're quite delicious. And they are a natural blood builder, so you could build more of your own blood. And I tell you, I find the benefit of the beets for me is when I do kind of get, I go biking, for example, sometimes, and then I get a little bit scraped up because I'm going on the trail and there's a branch sticking out or whatever that kind of scrapes my leg. Ever since I started introducing beets into my diet, I noticed that my blood clots up like that. It's like I don't even bleed. It's like I'll get cut, and there's the blood clots so fast that it's like I don't even need a Band-Aid. I really don't. There's no drips. There's no drops. It just if you don't know what clotting is, clotting means it's when it hardens up, and as opposed to you bleeding, it starts closing up. And yeah, I mean, you're looking at the potatoes, you're looking at the beets. I eat this stuff every day. And let me tell you, it's not like I want to, have the stick in the river valley kind of cut my leg up when I'm going by on the trails on my bike. But, at least when it does happen, yeah, I don't bleed at all. I don't bleed at all. And the blood is still inside of me. Yeah, it's still inside of me. But my blood clots so fast, I almost feel like I'm Wolverine sometimes. Am I Wolverine? No. Yeah, I'm not. But, yeah, my blood clots so fast, and I heal so fast. I did some research on cuts and the average person's healing time from cuts in terms of maybe 2 millimeters a day. And I found out that my healing rate is about 4 to 5 times faster than the average human being. So, what am I doing different? Well, I don't know. You're kind of looking at it. The Superman suit. Yeah. Okay. Okay, looking at the time here, 30 minutes, the beans have been in there. Oh, hey. And am I rushing now? No. Obviously, I've been telling a lot of jokes. Right now, I'm just skinning the carrots. Yeah. But the other thing I like about this meal is you can kind of just take your time going through everything, and you're always kind of doing something. Is because all the cooking times of everything all together all kind of line up with each other, and you realize that you're never really not doing anything, but at the same time, it's not like you're going super fast either. Yeah. So yeah, it's a nice meal. You're always doing something. You can do it all by yourself, like me, and yeah. It's very easy, but it's also very nutritious, delicious, and basically everything you would need for a day. Yeah. Okay, so I'm rolling with my carrots now. I'm taking off the skin. And you know what? Maybe you're going to be eating this with your family, so you probably shouldn't be doing what I'm about to be doing right now, but I'm the one guy eating this, so that's why I'm doing this. Okay, this is obviously the end of the carrot, the part that you wouldn't eat. Yeah. Hey, are you going to do that when you're eating with your family? Maybe not, and if you are, maybe they won't see. Okay, but it's just me eating this, so obviously I don't care. Yeah, obviously I don't care. Okay, and hey, if you're just making this for yourself, well, there you go. Because obviously a pretty easy way to get the end of the carrot off. All right. Yeah. I mean, you're not eating it; you're just spitting it out. Yeah. And you can almost look hot when you do it, too. No, I don't think that's hot, but it's funny. Okay, so now I got my carrots done. Looking back at the clock one more time. Beans have been in there for a good 32 minutes. Okay, and now you can see I've lined up all my carrots. So then I can do this. Yeah. Now I'm cutting 4 carrots all at the same time. Wow! Oy, fuck. Okay, now the next part I'm going to talk about as being something that you can take optional cooking times with. Okay? Because it kind of depends how you like your veggies. Okay? Me personally, I like to keep part of the crunch value. Which means I don't like to cook this stuff for so long that it becomes soggy. Because I want something to actually have crunch. Yeah, for me, that's my way. Which means the potatoes, the beets, the carrots, they're basically not cooking any longer than 10 minutes in this pot of soup. Okay? But if you like them without the crunch value, you're going to cook them for 20 minutes, which means you're basically putting them in pretty quick. However, the turmeric, the ginger, and the garlic, that stuff goes in for 20 minutes. Okay? Now, I also have some broccoli here. The bottom end of the broccoli is broccoli stalk, which is obviously harder. And it does typically need to cook for longer, like 20 minutes. So I'm going to start off by cutting off the broccoli stalk. And it's funny, last time I was doing this, I was making some jokes. And I was pretending to play 2 different people, okay? And so one guy, he's investing in broccoli stalk. Broccoli stalk. From the grocery store, the food, yeah. And his friend is into, stocks, as in, like a trader. Yeah. So he's telling his friend that he invested into broccoli stock. And his friend's like, oh yeah, how's that broccoli stock on the market? Well, it was in the market at the farmer's market. And yeah, I bought some and it was a pretty good price. Yeah? Are you going to make lots of money off of that broccoli stock? Again, his friend thinks that it's a stock that you trade, not the broccoli stock. Yeah, so they're miscommunicating with each other, right? But it's funny. So then the other guy's like, well, no, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be making money off my broccoli stock because I'm going to eat it. Yeah. And his friend's like, what? You crazy? You're gonna eat your stocks? Dude, that's like pissing money away. Like, you buy these stocks and now you're gonna eat them? Dude, you crazy. And he's like, you do realize I'm talking about broccoli stalks, right? Yeah, well, I mean, and this is the other guy now. I mean, I've never heard of these broccoli stalks, but, you know, I'm an economist and I trade stocks, and I know that when you're eating your stocks, that you're kind of crazy. And he's like, I tell you what, why don't you come over for dinner, and then maybe you'll realize what stocks I'm talking about. Right, broccoli stocks, the food, stocks, that you trade, right? Okay. Maybe not the best joke for everybody, but I think it's funny. Okay, anyways. Okay, so now, basically, yes, this stuff has been in here for about 35 minutes. Oh, wait. Okay, so I'm throwing in a broccoli stock, because, yeah, this stuff's pretty tough. So I want it to cook for a good 20 minutes, which means if this has been in there for, 35 minutes, now I'm putting in my broccoli stock, my onions, my ginger, my turmeric, excuse me, and my garlic, ginger, turmeric, garlic, okay. Yeah. And, if you're the person that likes your veggies, kind of more soft, then you would probably put these things in now. But I like them crunchier. So I'm going to wait 10 minutes before they go in. Okay, but what goes in at the same time that I put these things in is what we got over here. So we'll, this is quinoa. Yeah. And that's Quinoa. Quinoa is actually, the Incan civilization was big on quinoa. And the Incan civilization would basically be South America, where Peru is today, basically. Yep. And quinoa is a very good source of protein, as well as having all the essential amino acids being a complete protein. Okay, so I'm not going to put my hand in there to scoop this stuff out because it's kind of sticky and then it gets all over my hand. So I'm actually just going to be pouring it from the bag. Okay, how much am I putting in? That's a good question. I kind of need more protein than most people because I do a lot of exercise. So, how much are you going to put in? Half a cup. Half a cup, Yeah. It depends, because you also got to realize there's a lot of beans in there. Yeah, which is a lot of protein. But again, if you're kind of going more for the Superman thing and you do as much exercise as I do, you're probably putting in half a cup. Okay, these are French green lentils. Okay. Now, just to let you know, every once in a while, it's good to go through your lentils, because every once in a while, there's a little tiny pebble in there. And you don't want to eat that. And then you're eating your soup, and you're like, I just bit into a tiny pebble rock. But yeah. I got a pretty reliable source. I usually get no rocks at all. But you might. So, if you want to prepare more than what I'm doing, you would then use the strainer for the quinoa and your lentils, and sift through them, rinse them, and then just make sure, there's no little pebbles. Okay, so basically my beans are basically in there for about 35 minutes. It's kind of going on 40 minutes. Not a big deal. Okay. And now, because really when it comes to the beans, cooking for an extra 5 minutes, like an hour instead of like 55 minutes, not a big deal. Okay, because I'm cooking on a pretty low heat. Okay. But anyways, now the quinoa's gone in there. Well, I know I'm putting this stuff in about 10 minutes. You like your veggies to be softer without the crunch factor. You're putting them in now. Okay. But me later. So not yet. Okay, having a little snack. Kind of need a little drink of water. Okay. Now, I'm getting the broccoli done here. This is a lot of broccoli. Am I putting it all in? No. Broccoli is like a superfood though. It's really healthy for you. There's all kinds of minerals and nutrients inside broccoli. And you know, even when you don't like these kinds of foods that much, when it's all part of the big soup, you know, it's not like you're just eating the broccoli. So when you don't like broccoli, you don't have to put it in. You can put in cauliflower instead. But what you could do, if you don't like the broccoli that much, you could just put in, you know, like a little tiny bit, right? So you're still getting some superfood in there. Yeah. Because really, when there's just a little tiny bit of broccoli in there and there's all these other things in there, you're not even going to know. You're not even going to know. Okay, but I like my broccoli. Yeah. I actually thought it was really funny. I was just doing some sprints just outside of my neighborhood, down like the sidewalk or whatever. And I used to be like a track and field star, so I gotta run pretty fast. I mean, obviously I'm not running for you right now here in my kitchen, but I can basically run about 35 kilometers an hour when I'm around, you know, top speed. So anyways, I was sprinting down the sidewalk, and I thought it was just so funny because this girl was watching me come towards her, and I slowed down as I got closer to her, and what did she say? Holy moly, brockamole. Because when she saw me running as fast as I was running, that's what she said, and it was pretty funny. Yeah. But hey, if broccoli makes you think of some kind of superhuman thing, well, it is superfood, so why not? Yeah. Okay, there's my broccoli. Holy moly, brockamole. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Okay, onion. Obviously the skin's on this guy. Is the Hulk smash going to work on the onion like it did with the garlic? Not really. Not really, to be honest. Because it's a lot bigger. Yeah. Maybe you got little baby onions and then, you know, maybe it would work. But, you know, it obviously wasn't that hard for me to take off the skin. I'll show you a little trick here. I'm not going to use the entire onion, but I'm piercing. Okay, like this. Turn it 90 degrees. Piercing. Okay, and then down. And I found a little bit of a sore spot here that I'm going to cut off. Yeah. But when I pierced it the way that I did, I basically just kind of made a cross. And then I hold it like this. And then as I start cutting it, right, it's already kind of been cut before I cut it, but it stays together. So I get my kind of nice smaller pieces, but make it easier for me to cut it more efficiently. Yeah. Okay. Okay, check the time. Okay. Very good, still good. And you know what? Beets actually do take a little bit longer to cook. And yeah, I'm going to add the beets now. And I think the potatoes as well. There's basically about 15 minutes to go in the entire cooking session here. I'm going to throw in the beets. Throw in the potatoes. Yeah. So, you know, they'll still have the crunch factor. Yeah. But they'll be also a little bit softer as well. So it's kind of the halfway in between. They're going to be in there for, you know, about 15 minutes here. Yeah. Okay. And you know what? Let's throw the carrots in there too. Yeah. Now the stalk of the broccoli obviously went in there, you know, with the lentils and the quinoa. Any longer to cook. But the crown of the broccoli doesn't need to be in there for very long. It cooks pretty fast. Because, you know, it's, yeah, kind of bristly, yeah. As opposed to kind of more like stocky, yeah. Okay. Carrots. Carrots. Oh, what are carrots good for? Beta carotene. I mean, is it just a myth that they help you see better? Well, beta carotene is good for the eyes. So I guess it helps you see better. Yeah. Just having a little snack here. Eating part of the broccoli. Not thinking about cooking. You know, I'm kind of snacking along with. Okay. Move stuff to the side. It's not quite ready for it to put in. The onions and the broccoli, they cook pretty quick. And yeah, when they cook as quick as they do, personally, if I put them in right now, they would be too soft for me. Again, if you like your vegetables kind of mushy, then you know you probably would have put these veggies in all 5 minutes earlier than I put all of them in. But yeah, if that's your style, then you would put all the vegetables in a little bit sooner. Okay. Okay, so we're basically getting to the 50-minute mark here. And what I've got here is some pasta. This is Rumo. It's an Italian brand. It's actually from Tuscany. But this pasta is actually made of lentils. Lentils, yeah. But it doesn't take very long to cook. 7 to 8 minutes. 7 to 8 minutes. So I'm not quite ready to put that in. So now I'm ready to do one more part of the cooking. And what have I got here? Cashews. Cashews. Right? Your little moons. Yeah. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here with the cashews is I have a bag like this, okay? And the inside of the bag is kind of like a tin foil, you know, kind of thing, as opposed to a plastic like this that would kind of easily rip and tear. This stuff is pretty tough. Yeah, and there's a reason that I'm using this bag, okay? Because then what I'm doing is I'm taking these cashews, putting them into the bag. Okay. Yeah. And cashews are a great source of fat, like healthy fat. And pretty tasty too. Pretty tasty. Okay. You're probably wondering, why is he putting them into the bag? That's a good question, but I'm not done putting them in the bag, so just hold on to your butts. Okay. That's basically about 3 handfuls of cashews. And that is plenty. Okay, so the cashews are in the bag. Yeah. Now I don't even actually need to seal it. Okay, I just need to make sure that that the top is kind of curled in, so that what is inside of here, it's not coming out. Okay. So the cashews are all here. The top I just curled together and then kind of put it down so that it doesn't uncoil. And now it's time for MC Hammer. You can't touch this. Well, not quite. Maybe those of you who know MC Hammer are probably more like my age. But You Can't Touch This is an MC Hammer song. He's the guy with the nice baggy pants. You know, he started doing rap and hip hop basically before anybody else did. And you know what I like about MC Hammer? is he had wrapped in a positive message, right? Feel free to look him up yourself on YouTube, MC Hammer. You can't touch this, right? Na 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 na. You can't touch this. Da, na, na, na. Yeah. Anyway, he's a pretty cool guy. Okay. And yeah, I'm using a hammer now to. That's right. Touch these nuts without touching them because they're in a bag. Another bad joke. Okay. But yeah, the idea here is that they're in the bag, so they stay in the bag. And I'm using my MC Hammer here. Okay? My mighty caliber hammer. Acronym. And I am busting up the cashews inside of the bag. Do you have to do this forever? No. But again, I put in 3 handfuls. So I have to do it for a good minute. Yeah, a good minute. And you kind of can tell when they've been crunched up enough. Because you can kind of feel. And you're like, well, it kind of feels like there's those pretty big pieces in there. So be careful, you know, on your fingers. I'm pretty good at this, so I don't really ever hit my fingers. In fact, I never have. But, you know, if you want to be more careful, you could just use one hand. Then obviously the bag kind of starts falling apart, but at least you know you're not going to hit yourself. But yeah, I do it like this because I don't miss. I don't miss. You can see how I raised my index finger. I kind of make this area here. But you know, if you're not confident doing it like this, don't. And then just take more time doing it so you don't hurt yourself. Because if you do hammer your finger, you'll probably be sorry. But yeah, I've done this many times. So not that big of a deal for me. That's right. Okay, so I bashed that up. Put in my bowl over. Okay, and obviously we know what the cashew looked like before. Okay, and now, yeah. Is it a fine dust? No, it's not a fine dust. But is it obviously pretty crunched up? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. Now it's basically time for me to put in, yeah, the broccoli and the onions. So, in they go. Yeah. Oi. Okay, and the other thing I'm obviously putting in now is the pasta. Okay, this stuff basically takes 7 to 8 minutes, right? Yeah. And you know, I'm basically putting in a decent sized handful of this stuff. Yeah, you like your pasta, put in more. Okay? Okay, and yeah, it doesn't have to be rumo pasta. It doesn't have to be lentil pasta. It can just be, you know, wheat pasta or whatever. Pasta, whatever. White pasta, pasta, whatever. It doesn't have, you can be, fettuccine or the spaghetti or whatever, right? But the idea is, yeah, I'm putting it all in here. It's all part of the Superman soup, okay? And right now you can see getting a little crowded in here, getting a little crowded. And I gotta make sure the pasta gets immersed with the water. Okay, or else it's really not going to be cooking. Yeah. Whereas the vegetables, on the other hand, like for example the broccoli and the onions, it's not so bad if they're kind of sitting on top, not being fully immersed. But the pasta, I want to make sure I'm pushing it down so that it is immersed. Okay, it's quite important, or else the pasta will not cook thoroughly and completely. Okay, so I pushed all my pasta down. Yeah, and now what I'm doing is I'm putting on the lid. Okay, and the reason for that is I'm helping to maintain all the flavor. Yeah. And as well as kind of toning down the steam in here. It's getting a little hot. Another joke. Okay, so now I crushed up my cashews. What have we got here? Organic virgin coconut oil that's cold pressed and unrefined. Wow. And let me tell you, coconut oil is very tasty. Oh yeah, it's good. And you know what else is good about it? It's very high in fat, like really high. Like basically a teaspoon of this is basically almost all the fat you need in a day. Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, I have a bottomless pit here. I don't know where it all goes. So I'm pretty generous with the coconut oil. Okay, but I'm mixing it in with these crushed up cashews. If you're trying to maybe not gain as much weight as I am because you don't have the bottomless pit, which is basically an extremely efficient metabolism, because we are all different, you might not want to use as much coconut oil as me. Okay, but I use quite a bit. It's basically 4 spoons of this, if not more. Yeah. And you know, theoretically, that would be all going in the soup, and then the soup would, you know, with like the cashews, for example, then the soup would basically be like 250% of the fat that you need in a day. But am I eating all the soup in there today? No, there's going to be leftovers tomorrow. Yeah. So if I ate half of it, 125% of the fat that I need in a day. But for me, again, this is bottomless pit. Bottomless pit. So, yeah, because I'm a really active guy. And what am I doing? I eat more fat than the average person does, but I also am a lot more active than the average person. So I still kind of am a lean, green machine, regardless. And it's because all this fat I'm burning off almost every day, because I basically lift weights every day or go out biking every single day. Like, I actually really do. I know, it's crazy, right? But at the same time, well, not really, because health is wealth. Okay, so anyways, I mixed all this stuff together. Obviously, this is how I do it. What can you do to have the soup taste better? When the coconut oil is making it taste better for me, you can add more salt. You could. Yeah, you can add more salt. Or you can add more spice. Yeah. Okay, now I do not put this in until all this is done. And it's basically going to be done in about 2-3 minutes, okay? So now I'm kind of getting into the final stages. Just opening up the fridge. And I'm taking out some olives and some jalapenos. Obviously, I wouldn't want those sitting on the counter the whole time, as it's good to keep these cold. Tabasco sauce. Some jalapenos. And some olives. Yeah. Okay. So the jalapenos I like to chop up. And you know what? If you don't like spicy, maybe don't add jalapenos. Don't like olives? Don't add olives. I like spice, and spice is actually really good for you. Sugar is sweet, but the reason spice is nice is the spice is more of what keeps you healthy, whereas the sugar usually gives you, you know, the sugar high where you're bouncing off the walls, and then you get the sugar blues. Where the spice is nice because, you know, it has the flavor, but you don't get the high and then, you know, the down. You just feel good. Feel good, yeah. Certainly research for yourself how spice can help with your health. Okay, so I'm cutting up my jalapenos. Now, we probably have all heard the saying, you know, work smart, not hard. Okay. And how can we apply this to cooking? Well, if I cook smart and not hard, what does that mean? It means I don't want to do many dishes, okay? That's right. And let me tell you something. When all I am doing is one man with one spoon, one knife, one bowl, one pot, and one strainer that obviously was basically just having water go through it, which is obviously still pretty clean. Let me tell you, doing the dishes with this meal is so easy. Because really, once I'm done eating my soup in the bowl, I'm just rinsing it off, and it's soup. So it's basically just a little bit of rinse, and basically it's all clean. And same thing with the pot. You know what I mean? You put this in a Tupperware container once it's cooled down, okay? And because it was all kind of like liquidy stuff, then you put it in the sink, and you can let it soak for a little while if you really want to be lazy, which is fine because it's easy. It's still smart. But really, I find all it takes is a little rinse because it's soup. It's all water-based stuff. So even though when this cooking basically takes an hour, I usually don't spend more time than 2 minutes doing the dishes for this stuff. And if you're like me and you like eating, and maybe you like cooking like me, but you don't like doing the dishes like me, this might be the meal for you. Because really, 2 minutes of washing dishes, if that, is so easy. And like, have you ever seen maybe like your mom or dad, and there's there's all kinds of stuff to make your supper, your dinner, whatever, or lunch, and then it's your job to do the dishes. And you're like, when I grow up, I'm going to cook smarter because I don't want to do all these dishes they're making me doing. And I know why there's all these dishes here. It's because they're not doing the dishes. They're just doing the cooking. Okay? So when you have to do the dishes and you have to do the cooking, eventually you realize, yeah, cooking's not so bad. Dishes sucks. Eating's good. And how can we have less dishes? Cook smarter. Not harder. Yay! Hey, more jokes. Okay. All this stuff is kind of cooked enough. And I'm going to go for a little peek. Now, I already know the beans are good because I know the cooking time for this stuff. But you know what is good when it kind of looks sprouted? Okay, that means you know that it's done cooking. And for my pasta, to make sure it's done, because I already can tell it's not quite done, but I just try a little bit. It's too hard. It's too hard. Okay, so it needs a good another 3 minutes, and I'm actually going to add just a touch more water. Okay, there's a fair amount of water there. But I just want to make sure the pasta that's going to be soaking this water up just has a little bit more to work with. Okay. About another 3-4 minutes. That's done. Okay, so keep working with my jalapenos. Yeah. Olives. Okay. Now, what I'm about to do here is something that I do because I know this meal is for me and me only. Okay. So it might seem gross to you, but if you think about it, if you're the only person that's eating this food, it's not actually gross. Okay. There are pits inside of these olives. So if you are making for your family, okay, then you can kind of just cut. Separate maybe. It's kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest. Yeah. It's almost like there's no real easy way, but yeah. Then I have removed the pit. Pretty tough, pretty tough. I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. Okay. But since this is all for me, how could you make this easier without having to do this and without going through the excruciating process of removing the pit? Get olives that don't have any pits. There's plenty of companies that sell them like that. But anyways, what am I gonna do? Put them in my mouth. Okay. Then I'm using my teeth to chew around the pit. I isolate the pit in my mouth and spit out the pit. Yeah. And then the olive, yeah, that was in my mouth, it's just going back in my mouth anyways. So that's why I don't care. That's why I don't care. Yeah. Obviously, when you're making for your family, if that's what you're doing, maybe don't tell them. Or maybe just get olives that don't have the pits in them. Or just remove the pits yourself without putting them in your mouth like I am. Yeah. You know, because someone might say it's gross, but all this stuff's going back in my mouth anyways. So is it gross? No, I'm just cooking for myself. Yeah. Okay. It's done. It's actually pretty efficient doing it like this, but obviously, you know, kind of just needs to be for you. Good, that could be the case. And then I'm teaching you something. Or you're really grossing out your family. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Rinse my hands. Okay, now there's a reason I was saying that there's going to be more salt in here later. And that's because I'm actually going to be adding some of the olive juice as well as the jalapeno juice, which both have a lot of sodium, which is salt, okay, which has a lot of flavor. But yeah, I started with the pink salt at the very beginning, which is obviously a nice source of flavor. But when I add these two juices, it's a really nice flavor to add into the soup that is not just salt, but kind of like olive salt or jalapeno salt. Yeah. Yeah, so each of their own. If it's the first time you're doing that, and you're used to just salt, then what you would want to do is you would want to put the final soup mix into a bowl, and then put a little bit of the juice in from the olive and the jalapeno, and see if you like it before you put it into the whole pot. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna test the pasta one more time here. I'm pretty sure it's ready, but you know, it's just good to test. Make sure. And now it's ready. Okay. So I turn off the heat, I move it over. Yeah. Man, I can put in this stuff, my olives, my jalapenos. Oh yeah. The other thing that's good about washing your hands all the time, especially when you're doing something like cutting jalapenos, is if you start like rubbing your eye after you were cutting the jalapenos, yeah, your eye's gonna hurt a lot more than what it did before you started rubbing it. All right, okay. Yeah, it's good to wash your hands pretty frequently. Okay. Now, oh yeah, so yeah, now I'm putting in a little bit of the juice again. This is me. I really like the flavor of the jalapeno juice. I actually don't even put in very much, right? Because it's pretty powerful stuff. And the olive juice. Yep. Okay. And the nice thing is these things being in the fridge, they're colder. And when I added that into the soup after everything is done cooking, it would be very hot. They cool it down, so it's more ready to eat sooner. And then I'm adding, this stuff, which is the cashews that were crushed up with the coconut oil. Really flavorful stuff, yeah. Very flavorful stuff. But again, you know, if you're the kind of person that maybe is maybe struggling with your weight, no offense, or whatever, I don't really know what your situation is, you might want to lean more towards the salt, or maybe just less altogether. But a guy like me, this is a good thing for. But if you don't really want as much fat on your body and have a hard time getting rid of it, you may want to resort to either a salt or really just less of both of these things. Is your soup going to taste as good? No. But if you're trying to lose weight, then that's probably what you're going to want to do. Okay. So then, and what could you do if that's the case? You could add things like black pepper. Okay. This is my black pepper. Some cayenne. Maybe like cumin. Okay. Coriander. Yeah. So if you're looking to add some flavor that is not, you know, salt or fat, it could be some spices that will still taste good, but will maybe not be something that is not helping you with your weight problem. Yeah. So here's some spices. And so yeah, this is why I kind of make this recipe kind of open-ended, because we all are different. So it's kind of just showing you how I do it, but also talking about maybe how it could be better for you. Yeah. Okay. So then I mix all this stuff together. Another thing sometimes I do when I don't have nuts on hand, and I don't have maybe the coconut oil, I have coconut milk. Yeah. And then I throw in a kind of coconut milk inside. Yeah. But I like using the coconut oil with the nuts. Yeah. It just kind of adds the flavor, that nutty kind of coconut flavor that I'm looking for. That kind of makes it creamy, but also with a nice crunch value. Maybe you're allergic to nuts, right? So then obviously you wouldn't do that. And then maybe you're just adding coconut milk, because coconut is not a nut. No, it's not. No. Okay. Mix all this stuff together. Now it's an extremely hearty soup, okay? Like extremely hearty, and why I leave the water here to the very end that I didn't add before is because I want to eat it right now, okay? So I'm adding this water now at the very end because this is, you know, room temperature water as opposed to the water that was on the stove. Okay. I'm mixing this up. And this makes my soup something that is basically ready to eat like right now. Okay. Because the olive juice, the jalapeno juice, all from the fridge, the extra added water here at the end, the coconut oil or maybe coconut milk that you would be using. All these things are cooling it down. So it basically becomes something that's ready to eat right now. Right now. Yeah. So when you do use the coconut milk, it would be creamier. Creamier. Yeah. Yeah. And here is the Superman soup. And yeah. So now at this part of the video, I'm just going to, you know, put a little bit into a bowl of soup so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Yeah. So anyways, you can kind of see how everything is in here. Okay, I gotta just stick with more of the solids. I make mine extra hearty. But the nice thing about it being extra hearty is you can then just add water when it's extra hearty, and then it's ready to eat like right now. Yeah. Okay, this is what it looks like. You can see everything inside of here. And basically what you're going to be seeing after this is the nutritional value of what is inside a pot of soup like this. Okay, so you can get a good idea of what is actually in here in terms of the numbers. Okay. So thanks for watching Chef Lucien, his first episode of cooking Superman's Soup. That's what I'm talking about.